So those are the people don't know, and the Thai news reporters has a sorting is about the tragically horrific that the Thai shoulder says upon of the is mostly of one man's army to that they had he's turned into the dark side of the scene, and they had to have the watches there has and we has really thought about the mans of the armies of the shoulders had to begin to the rampage onto the terminal the 21s there in the shopping mall, and it begins to the rampage shooting at them. And in fact, and I believe there has some kind of a video game violently like the games from the Call of Duty, and I really doesn't notice that this that has to the real life the Call of Duty is inspired from the games as wherever that the Thai person have it turns the dark and as a separately to be to as it began to have a rampageously it's horrific as so much of fire into wounds around in here at the shopping mall, and this was a one last there having is heavily just harasses it meant to be as the people are watching at the theater as it turns to crimes there massacred in the Thailand that took it there have the place, and they had to they had this equipment is massively the guns and where you have the shooting at the innocent people surrounded here just buying shops of food to drinks in there and stuff and all like that. It's always a huge disastrating the Thai people as had people that don't know have a Thai people that it makes the Thailand that makes rules that have an illegal in the laws have against the rules says, but people if you don't know what the Thai man's person turns dark side as an army as I believe there has a begins the Facebook lives on the steaming the personally that they have to watch it of it it shows has it he's either showing that he's showing are going around this he begins the threat new attack on the shopping mall is a had for equipment there the weapons and handle as its rights as a right to the taking the action in his own hands, and right after they began to shooting at the victims and leave this has a falls had a fatality has shoot it at least he got it killed the 29 victims and leave their 50 plus victims wounds with the serious conditions and the criminal conditions. It includes the security guards and the police officers and law enforcement, and then as of course they begins to protections the shopping mall, and he began to the rampage that starting around here the shooting at it, and they had to iterate the barons as the privately says would to be to fighting it this there, and there was a one-man army to stand and it had to inspire that the shouting is Call of Duty, and his load in and the shoot weapon there is his assault rifle, and it sounds like has his aim is have the quotes here. You go to hell, you gonna die in the burden in the case hell, and you'll have the joints of the darkness a million of years of closed cases. And this was really course as they began to fire at it. And it was a Terminal 21 shopping a mall, and as a providence have injuries, the damages of the properties, and people are screaming and shouting, have to running off to run away to their one man's army, and with this they have to caught under people to tragically, and it sounds like a crowd have to scream as the other guys having said that run, they gonna have to kill us, the one man's army, the dark side. And of course, is escaping from the shopping mall. There's a one man's army, and the last stand as a fire to have the furious is like die you all fools, the humans, die. It's like game from Call of Duty, and they're likely as a first-person shooter that the Call of Duty game series, as a video game is violent ever since as truly the reality. As this was a young man, he to play the Call of Duty the mobile. He's an evidence as he's an evidently the massacres took it as the video games as characterized that is the real life, there's a reality, there's minds are blind, there's blown, and we've as a haven't thought, and they have this preserve there the people are playing the Free Fire, Call of Duty, and it's kind of the mobile stuff, and as a huge amount of as a survivors have to take us leave there and leave it at their had outcomes as directly for the situations here, and police is where the call off here, and it's take up by the police as officers and the security, and this was at emergency the alarm in there said the one man's army, and what to call it calling out charge a young man who was tried to attack killed up 29 people and injured wounds, and he's still going in. I mean, he's still going around here, shooting at a different roommates here. Anything else? Blah 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 blah. Of course, the thing that is so, and he's one of the villainous to be in the existing as a real life there, and not for the video games, but not for the mobile games. Actually, as death scenes to the video games from the Call of Duties, this was a real life crimes of the Call of Duty. And then one last their stand, and as is a belief there that they have to living etc. out there, and if the police are trying to stop him and is holder of the guns in order to have to search him, and one man's army, the dark side, at the end of the rampages, take it hiding into here and walks here, and the last stand it was holding up their handguns, and even like the one thing is the last breath and the last brief in a moment until they have to finally end of the rampages tragedy events, and just have to say goodbye to this cruel world. I'm going to torment in the hell for all the eternity. I mean to have to say it. Goodbye to cruel world. I'm going to torment as my hell for all of eternity. And then one man's army, the dark side, until the end of rampage, he has finished the attack the victims, has got 29 victims, and then he turned to self-deflect the gunshot himself. After the police investigations, as they found two dead bodies covered in the blood, and there was Royal Thai armies that he turns to the dark side, and the stake of the body last have to take some rip this guy apart, and finally came to this towards tragedy events that comes to an end. and there's countless to be. The aftermath is an investigation that has perpetrators as a mass shooting, and I really does that right. Thailand has a much the legally the serious the cases. Um, the Thailand have to put something that have the serious situation in cases. Some people are that's crimes that have to rob their supermarket place, and there's mass shooting is outdoors and indoors and shopping in a mall, and they had to as a mindless as caped psychopathically just mentally the shooters all around here so the real life the villains but it's kind of really terrified that is it was a freaking terrified here. That's the Terminal 21 just got off as a damages supermarket that sat in their place, and they have the barely just have a dark side of it, as the burrows have burned their hell in the case and leave there as a gods, and the poor victims helpless peacefully. And I really just case one. They have a big upset because they hate him to hate the crime says about worse than mass shooting, and they have been has a worse case of a horrific that to continue the Thailand's mass shooting it all around here such towards and a completely master of them freaking it up. Man, I was a heartless there has a shocked that the Thai news report just got talk about it. Oh man. Thailand is one of the world worst mass shooting in the history in the real life. That's the one man's army is attacked to be there's so much effect that Zav is shooting his scenes scenically and finish the attack the victims and leave the wounds and got to self-deflect the gunshot. It was as simply that the massacre shooting at as is inspired from the based on the first person shooter the Call of Duty. That's the real life Call of Duty, but none of these that's what freaking Call of Duty. And I know this is have to the people who make the live action videos that make this Call of Duty. So make sure you have a look around here villains that the people turns dark side, and make sure you have to stay away from the villains and stay away from the crime and keep on to have to do it as safety. Yeah, do it like that. So do it have this safety and make sure you have to stay away for Walker here and the victims. There have the victims of millions here to watching it, and the one villains as began to dark has start to mass murder it and the mass shooting it has damages supermarkets here. So make sure you have to stay in the outdoors and stay away from the villains and stay away to mass shootings the villains as long, and keep on have you do it safety. So that's just pretty much this horrific the tragedy events, and this was February the worst moment as a still existing, and thank God one man's army dark side has no longer exist in real world. So I just gonna be have to heavens or looking up to their God, and I have this prayers too. My severely condolences sought in prayers. Dear poor victims 29s, I know that you didn't have the watches there to him, and I didn't realize there's some kind of mass shooting is like the video games of reality for minds of blow it there. So keeping the mindless of awake to the angel and staying in the prayers for priests with the clothes and include Uncle Stanley. So Uncle Stanley with a healthy, please help with a 29 people and keep it to beat the devils out of him. So God bless poor victims, all people, to you, and God bless all of the victims. Peace. I was really told that the mass shooting here is a terminal. The 21 here says shopping malls has us gotten here is a horrible moment here, and I really did. I was realized that well, villain it here for the that Royal Thai Army as a brave idiot, the person, and they have an upsetting stress and saddened 29 victim people, and I felt that this is not very good, and this isn't nice. So anyway, that's all pretty much I have to say, and I better to get back to work now. So hopefully the Terminal 21 Korat will be recovered, and the prayers is take care of the victims to them. And right now and don't worry about this, I'm not gonna talk too much. So only have the further to do, I would have to say thank you so much with the poor 29 victims, and my thought of prayers, and pray with the Korat prayers with the Terminals 21. So if you have the victims and the innocent people, stay away from crimes. Take care. I love you all. Thank you. And that's all pretty much to say. I hope you see you around the next video. As always, later.